Hello everyone! In this video I'm going to show you how to set the typography scale of your web project using the CodyHouse Typography Editor. So first of all, the typography scale is a set of harmonious non-linear values which are obtained by combining the base size, so two values. One is the base size and the other one is the scale ratio. By doing so, you generate a set of values, as we were saying before. You can see the values right here. And then we store these values into CSS variables so that you can apply them to different elements of your typography. Now, let me show you how changing these values here is going to affect changes in your typography system. So first of all, let's change the base size value from 1 em to 1.2 em. So you can see right away that all the elements of your typography have become bigger. So when you change the base size value, you're affecting all the elements of your typography system. So they all become bigger of the same amount. Well, let me go back to 1 em. Okay, let me change the scale ratio instead from 1.2 to 1.4, for example. Now you can see immediately that the text XXXL value now is way bigger, but on the other hand, the text XS value is very, very small. So when you change the scale ratio, you are affecting all the elements of your typography, but the base size. So the base size does not change. Think of the base size as the body size of your typography. And the higher is the scale ratio value, the higher is the difference between the two extreme values of the scale. So the higher this value, so the higher the text XXXL becomes, and the smaller the text XS becomes. To recap, if you want to change the sizes of all your typography elements without affecting the scale, you have to change the base size value. While if you want to change the scale and therefore affect all the elements of your typography, but the body font size, you have to change the scale ratio. Okay, now let's go back to 1.2 here. So I'm saving and checking one of the CodyHouse components. Now we know that when we save changes here, these changes will affect the CodyHouse components as well. Now if I resize the window, you can see that nothing changes. I'm looking at the typography and it's not changing regardless of the screen size. Now if we set a responsive rule, for example, I want to set that past the small media query, the base size is 1.2 em. Let me save. Now, if I refresh the component, now you can see that size changes. Past the small media query, which is around 600 pixels, it's smaller by default, and then it becomes slightly bigger. And all the elements becomes bigger. Well, if I remove this change here and I just want to increase the scale ratio from 1.2 to 1.4, for example, let's save the changes. Let's go back. Now you can see that when I resize the window, so past 600 pixels, the heading element becomes bigger because I have changed the scale ratio, so I'm affecting all the elements, but the font size here of the body, of these body elements, is not changed. Perfect. So why is this approach powerful? Because you can change the whole typography system at specific media queries just by editing these two variables here. So for example, let me remove this. So I want to set that past the medium media query, I want the base size to become 1.2 and the scale ratio 1.25. Actually, it's going to be 1.25, this one as well. Save. Now, as you can see right here, we have, first of all, we have the default values of the typography. And when we resize the window, we are changing the sides of the base sides. And then we are changing also the scale ratio as well. So we are making the heading bigger. And it's really simple and powerful at the same time. So you can set different values of the typography at different media queries, at different breakpoints. Just bear in mind that because the CodyHouse framework is based on relative units, when you make changes to the typography system, you are making changes to the spacing system as well. If you want to learn more about how we handle the typography in the CodyHouse framework, you can take a look at the documentation page about typography. And you can access this page just by clicking on the info page link in the Typography Editor.